Welcome to my world. Now, knowledge acquisition has taken a dimension of talking about water. Water is very essential to life, and where there are problems of water, you have 80% of the problems of health problems in that area associated with water provision. These days too, we have people defecating because there is no provision of water. They drink water even in rivers or areas where they have even defecated. So compounding the problem they have with not having quality water. So this impure water creates serious problem. And that is where we want to really know how serious is the problem. The investigation done in the laboratory researches usually bring out results that are proven, accepted, and then the recommendations are also accepted. It is this recommendation that forms the basis of the provisions, health prevention things that World Health Organization would do. You will find that World Health Organization would have preventive measures that would help to stop this problem based on research findings and recommendation. So the laboratory solution in essence is that recommendation that comes out from researches done in the past. And I am now taking you through what is the basis of those researches, the laboratory investigation. So just sit down and listen, watch, and get to know the recommendations, how it has helped humanity, and the problem that developing country continues to have so long as they do not provide adequate quality water.
The importance of laboratory solution to waterborne disease can only be appreciated when we look at these findings. According to an assessment commissioned by the United Nations, 4,000 children die each day as a result of diseases caused by injection of filthy water. The report says 4 out of every people in the world, particularly those in Africa and Asia, do not have clean water to drink. So, look at that scenario and look at this man just by the area where you have animal defecating and water abuse. That's the only water he could drink. So the topic lab solution to waterborne disease is an effort to see how we can address this waterborne disease that is really affecting developing countries like Nigeria. The definitions, as far as waterborne diseases are concerned, the definition has widened. It has even been differentiated into about 5 categories. The first one, water-associated infectious disease can be broadly classified as waterborne, water-based, water-dispersed, water-related, and water-washed. The waterborne diseases can be described as microorganisms emerging from consumption of fecal contaminated water and can be divided into 4 subcategories including enteroviruses, bacteria, protozoa, and helminths. I shall dwell more on these waterborne diseases and not on the other categories. The water-based etiological agents are worms that spends a part of their life cycle in water bodies. Example is schistosomiasis, caused by a human contact with water infested with larvae. The most prominent water dispersed, that's another category disease, is legionellosis, caused by Legionella, resulting in pneumonia. Water-related infectious diseases, another category, include vector-borne diseases, where the vector inhabitants and the related intensity of the disease or outbreak depends on the presence of environmental water. In this category, you could talk of malaria parasites, Plasmodium falciparum, malaria, fevers, even hepatitis, especially the one in stool borne. Water-washed bacterium find organisms like Chlamydia trachomatis causing trachoma. There's also shigellosis, leprosis. This water-washed bacteria category has to do more with deprivation of water, where it is as a result of not having adequate water to really wash uh, themselves. Labs solution. How do the laboratory come to play? The laboratory plays a lot of role in researches because majority of all these findings are from laboratory effort. With great effort of laboratory practitioners, waterborne diseases have been studied and the causative organisms have been identified in A to Z list of causes of water-associated infection by CDC. They include and not limited to typhoid fever. When you're talking of waterborne disease, you are talking of typhoid fever. That's where you talk of Salmonella typhi. Cholera, Vibrio cholera, caused by Vibrio cholera, bacillary dysentery. You have so many. E. coli dysentery, especially in children. You have them causing problems. The Campylobacter, they are there too. Gastroenteritis, those who reside in the gastro region. Leptospirosis, poliomyelitis, aseptic meningitis, infectious hepatitis, amoebic. Amoebic has to do with the amoeba, entamoeba histolytica, meningoencephalitis, and ascariasis. That is when you are talking of the roundworms. These are all problems that you find from taking waters that are not pure, that is with very low quality water. Since the source is polluted water, then it is now left for us to study, that is the laboratory effort, to study the various water and know which one has been fecally contaminated, not forgetting our definition of waterborne disease is limited to waters that have been fecally contaminated with organisms that cause the above listed, the earlier listed diseases. We can start by testing for the pH. Low pH is acidic, higher one is alkaline. These changes is an indicator of contamination of water supply. So if you don't even go into much of the pathology of the water, you could just do the chemical analysis with just a pH analysis to know whether the water is even fit for your consumption and whether it's contaminated. Contaminated water that we are more interested in are the ones that are contaminated with feces, because the majority of these organisms that we have as waterborne diseases are resident around the fecal part of where you really find feces in the body, that is both the small and large intestine. Lab diagnosis. When you look at lab diagnosis, what is our aim? Our aim is to prove that the water for human consumption is not fit for human consumption and may contain the etiological agent of the earlier listed diseases that have appellation for fecal material, just like I said. And we now look at the materials and methods. This is not going to follow a particular format. You find all these. The water sample is what you want to work on. You could take it from any source to really know whether the source of water, where we are getting the water from, is already not fit for human consumption. The quality of water you'll be able to know. And if it's contaminated with feces, the resident organism in feces are the coliforms. So, especially if it's human, it's coliform that is majorly in the feces. Then, when it is dangerous type, you now see the E. coli type 1, or you can also the fecal Streptococcus faecalis and Clostridium perfringens are things that you can see. So the material that you use are materials that will help to grow these colonies, these bacterial organisms, which you want to really know whether they are there. You don't have to really see the organisms that will cause this problem, but the kind of problem listed. All you just want to know is whether there is fecal contamination, and the organisms that pinpoints fecal contaminations are listed as E. coli, the strep fecalis, and Clostridium perfringens. Presumptive coliform test is done and also calculate the most probably number of coliform using McCarthy statistical table of probability. That is the procedure which once one is learned enough in that field, you will know what to follow. It's a procedure that you can follow and then quote it. The differential coliform test, this you need to do because you must be able to differentiate coliform from E. coli. The coliforms are all resident. They look closely in behavior to E. coli. But what you are really trying to get is E. coli type 1. So by the time you do your subculturing from the positive presumptive coliform tubes into brilliant green lactose byproduct containing impacted gland tube that will really show gas production, because E. coli produces gases orogenic, and you made that 44 degrees centigrade in petro water. By the time the next day, you'll be able to confirm if E. coli type 1 is in the sample. And E. coli produce indoor positive with accident gas at 44 degrees centigrade. The recommendation from the laboratory aspect, probably the laboratory scientists from the researches that we have been doing, you find out that food handlers need to really visit the laboratory for tests to be performed on whether they are carriers of these various organisms that could cause typhoid fever. You have learned of Mary typhoid, who the Salmonella typhi reside in Agoba. The majority of the carriers of typhoid, of Salmonella typhi, it resides there. So, and it comes out of their feces. So you can see the fecal contamination really resulting in ill health for others. So it's still that water. If you find such people in developing countries who defecate outside, they pollute the water, and it's easily transferred. Not necessarily when they touch people's food, but even the defecation, the water, once salmonella is in the water, is easily transferred to infect others. The same thing with cholera and the other Vibrio cholera, Campylobacter, and all the other listed organisms here, even worms. Adequate provision of pure water, potable water by water agencies to ensure that people drink only pure water, quality water, and also the necessary awareness to create that necessary awareness that there is so much danger. The danger associated with drinking all these contaminated water containing waterborne diseases is that it really affects the life expectancy. The life expectancy of people living in developing countries are affected by this inadequate water that is associated with many diseases, many sicknesses. It's even ascribed to as high as 80% of diseases associated with water problems of those areas. So if that could be addressed, that will really solve the life expectancy of the people in developing countries. WHO effort at prevention. This is what you see. They now pick neglected tropical waterborne infectious diseases because they have really worked on them before, but they are neglected, they are not really attacked. So I didn't include majority of this in this, but when you see the list, trachoma caused by chlamydia, schistosomiasis caused by schistosomes, leptospirosis, human African trypanosomiasis, then lymphatic filariasis, and many others. These are what they call NTD, that's neglected tropical waterborne infectious diseases that the WHO is really addressing. And these are located in developing countries. In developed world, they don't have much of these experiences. Not there, because their ways of disposal of the waste and the feces is very, very modern, and there is no way it could contaminate their water. With the rising number of cases of water-associated infectious disease, there is an urgent need to regularly monitor the basic services of safe drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene. That which the WHO term WASH, that is safe drinking water when you have water and there is good sanitation and hygiene, which is something that you really witness in developed countries, but absent in developing countries, really causing the lower life expectancy. From the studies, you can then know that there is a very serious need for Africa or developing countries to do more. There is the need of toilets in every household and public places, with end open defecation and prevent fecal contamination of water. By the time people have where to defecate and what have you, nobody will want to be defecating in the open spaces that will contaminate water. The contamination of water resources due to open defecation near rivers, washing clothes, infiltration of solid waste and chemicals from industries, or bathing of animals like buffaloes, as shown in that picture that is the thumbnail of this project, deteriorates the quality of water. The water is of very low quality. Numerous methods in combination are used to minimize the microbial load of drinking water, such as aeration, storage and sedimentation of water, filtration, disinfection of water, and UV ray exposure. These are things one can really do to lower the number of bacteria in or microorganisms in that water, so that it can easily be taken without causing havoc, especially if it contains none of these infectious organisms. Various awareness programs regarding the basic hygiene facilities are necessary to be promoted to create to increase the population living, especially in rural areas of developing countries. Global infectious diseases and epidemiological network. That is what is called Gideon. When you look at it, it's very simple. It contains the categories: disease, pathogens, vaccines, and drugs. These are efforts of the WHO to attack the NTDs. And you now find the categories as the earlier explained. They are listed as water-based, waterborne, water-related, and the pathogen. Their names are listed. You find pathogens like chlamydia, trachomatis. You find pathogens like schistosome, leptospira, Bacteria bankrupti, Onchocerca volvulus, then virus, trypanosoma, brucella, and the guinea worm, Dancunculus maintenances, really cause. And these are the drugs that can be used. You can find them very handy, and so it is done so that these diseases becomes a thing of the past, and developing countries can develop and they have a longer life expectancy. Thank you.